Most coaches and consultants feel that if they get more leads, they would be able to scale their business to the next level. But is that actually true? That's completely false. Why do I say that? Because if you are stuck at maybe 5 lakh rupees, 10 lakh rupee a month, or even maybe 15 lakhs a month, what you're lacking right now is a predictable sales infrastructure, not more leads. And by the end of this video, I will prove it to you exactly how a predictable sales infrastructure can help you to scale your business to 40 lakhs plus every single month. Now, this isn't going to be some theory that I'm going to share with you. This is something that we use on a regular basis for our clients. Just to give you an example, we worked with India's biggest e-commerce coach. Can't name him because of NDA, but you can pretty much figure it out. He had 928,000 IG followers, Instagram followers, 570k subscribers on YouTube. So within 30 days of working with him, we took his close rate from 35% to 51%. That means out of 10 people, 5 were getting converted. Show up rate went from 67% to 78% within 30 days. And his average revenue went from 12.1 lakh to 19.4 lakhs within 30 days. And the best part is we did this with just 2 closers. That means each closer was approximately bringing in 10 lakh rupee worth of revenue for that one person. And now if he wants to scale to, let's say, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, he just needs to add 2 more closers to do that. And that is exactly what I'm going to share in this video with you. By the end of this video, you will know 3 things exactly. Number 1, why your current approach is broken. What you're doing right now, why is that broken? Number 2, how the TLS method works exactly. I'm going to break it down. And number 3, how to finally scale without founder stress. So stick around to understand these 3 things, and now let's jump right into it, right? So let me tell you the ugly truth, basically, the harsh reality that is happening. 90% of the coaches out there in the market space are scaling blind. They have absolutely no idea what they are doing. They are very good at their craft, no doubt on that, right? They are good at their work, they are good at their craft, but when it comes to scaling a business, they are doing it like in a very random fashion. They think that if they pump in more money into advertisements, or maybe they scale up their content game, get more views, get millions of views every month, maybe the revenue would scale. But that is far from truth. Why can I tell you this? Because I worked with India's biggest dating coach over here, right? This guy was getting 1500 leads organically every single month. That is an enormous amount of leads. People who trust you and want to pay you money. But even with that kind of leads, he was just sitting at a 14 lakh revenue per month on average, which is not that great considering that you have a almost like a 1.5 lakh rupee product, right? So what happened? It wasn't about the leads. This guy was getting 70 million views just on Instagram from his content, right? So again, leads is not everything. Just by pumping more leads, you cannot scale the business. Now, what really happens right now over here is with 90% of the coaches is they are trying to scale, but basically they get stuck taking sales calls at odd timings. Maybe they are taking calls early in the morning, 3 a.m., 12 a.m., or maybe they are taking it at 6, 7, 8 p.m. Why? Because working professionals get free at that time. So they do not have like a proper business. They are like running a glorified job. They are working 12, 13 hours a day. Not the best place to be in. No KPI trackings. Now, if I ask them like, what was your show up rate last month? No idea. They are blank. If I ask them what was your call to close rate? Blank. How many calls were scheduled? How many were live calls? What is your cost per acquisition? They are blank. Why? Because they are not tracking KPI, and without tracking, without data, you cannot scale. Data is a prerequisite. So that is number 2. Number 3 is random closers. This is the big one, right? And I'll elaborate more on this later on. But people think that by hiring random closers, they would be able to scale the business. The closers would come and magically perform some magic and they would close 10 lakhs in the first month. That doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure if you are a coach watching this or a consultant, you have already tried this third point and you have failed miserably. That's why you're watching this. Next is no system for show up. Now, after performing so much of efforts, putting efforts into content and advertisements, if a qualified prospect is not showing up on the call, then it is of no use. Your entire efforts basically went into waste. You paid all that money to Meta or Google, and basically burnt it. Why? Because the person did not show up. And why would he show up? Because he's getting hundreds of ads every single day. Why would he remember you? And because you don't have any systems right now, correct? And that's why you are stuck. You don't have any sales framework. People think that if you go on a call and randomly just go on a rant, you freestyle it, you are going to close people. But that is completely false. If you want a predictable sales system, you need to have a proper sales framework. You need to have proper frameworks for each and everything, whether it's probing, your pitch, your objection handling. Without this, if your closers are freestyling right now, here's the reality: you won't be able to scale. And the last thing, the revenue is stuck, or even worse, it's dropping right now. So if you're facing any of these challenges right now, don't worry. Why? Because 90% of the coaches that I speak with on a regular basis, they are facing these exact same challenges that you're facing right now. The best part is this can be basically fixed, right? All of these challenges are solvable. You just need to watch this video till the end and then implement what I have shared all over here, right? Next is solutions. Let me shed some light on the common solutions that people try out. I'm pretty sure you might be, if you're facing this sales issue and you're that aware to understand that it's a sales issue, sales problem, not a marketing issue, then you might have some, thought about some solutions. And that solution can basically waste a lot of your time, because these can be some common pitfalls that you can fall into as a business owner, and eventually waste months and months of your time, efforts, and money in opportunity cost. So what are these solutions that you should avoid at all costs? Number one is hiring a closer. So you'd be like, Shashank, what are you saying? I need to hire a closer so that he can replace me, right? Wrong. Why? Because even if you hire the most experienced closer who has a 5-year experience, right? And he comes into your organization and he does not get any onboarding calls, he does not get any product knowledge, he does not get any ramp up time period, he does not get clear goals, KPIs set for him, he does not get a very good compensation plan, he does not get any winning calls or sales frameworks, he does not get a proper sales culture, he is going to quit eventually. Why? Because he won't be able to perform at the optimal level. Because for a salesperson to perform, there are 100 of other things that you need in place in order for them to perform. But you think that, oh, you are a closer, you know sales, come and you basically close the deals for me. Doesn't work that way, right? So it's basically, if you want an Olympic, let's say Olympic runner, a sprinter, right? You want him, so you need to give him the environment as well, proper environment, right? Just if I know how to run and if I do not have the right shoes or the right tracks, I won't be able to be the best in the world or even perform at decent level, right? So hiring a closer is a bad idea. Don't do it. Watch the video entirely, you'll understand. Next is scripts and frameworks. Scripts is over frameworks. Frameworks is over scripts. Yeah. This is a big one. People basically are downloading uselessly, they are downloading random scripts from the internet. Now these scripts are not bad, but random scripts cannot help you to scale a business now. Now you have downloaded Alex Hormozy's script or Sam Owen's script or Jeremy Miner or Cole Gordon or Bill Walsh or some other person, maybe Jordan Belfort or something, right? And then you are trying to implement it on the call. But what is happening? What's happening? You're not able to close high ticket deals. Why? Because it's a script. And if you really dive deep into all of these people's teachings, they teach frameworks, not scripts. Scripts are there for amateurs, people who are beginners. Frameworks are basically a thought process. How you need to think about sales is what they teach, right? But you are focusing on the wrong things and not the right things you are missing out, which is the frameworks. And that is why when you try using those scripts in India, they do not work out. Now you might be a person who is watching this video from some other country as well. It might not work out in your market as well. Why? Because it is not customized for that. So you need to stop doing this thing. Next is more leads, the third one. You might be thinking, oh Shashank, let me just pump in more leads. But doesn't matter, right? If you have a leaky bucket, the more water you pour in, the more water will pour out because it is leaking. So if your funnel is not working, you do not have an infrastructure, pumping in more leads won't solve the challenge magically. Number 4, random courses and books. Again, same like number 2. You're watching a lot of YouTube videos, reading a lot of books. That is all theory. If I teach you how to drive a car in theory, you would feel, very intellectually, you would feel very awesome. Oh, I know how to drive a car intellectually. But once you go and sit down inside the car and try to drive it, that is when you basically start getting scared and confused and basically uncertain whether you would be able to drive a car or not. That is what happens with courses and books. Theoretical knowledge is different, practical knowledge is completely different. So we focus more on the practical stuff. Fifth one is discounts. Now, if you are bad at sales, this is the most common thing that you do. Oh, I can give you a discount. I can give you a 10k discount, 20k discount. Oh, we have a special pricing. If you pay right now on the call, it will be 50k. If you come tomorrow, it will be 1 lakh rupees. So you try to do all these gimmicks, scarcity tactics and discounts, and trying to create that urgency. We only take 10 people in a month, right? People know that. That doesn't work. So stop doing that. That kills your reputation as well, lowers your status overall in the prospect's mind. So stop doing that. Stop ruining your reputation. And last one is big guarantees. This is the most common one. Why? Because if you do not know how to sell, you will have to give a ridiculous big guarantee to your prospects. You will have to take the entire risk on you. And I cannot tell you how many coaches I know who have who have made such big claims in the marketplace, and they haven't been able to fulfill them. All of their clients did not generate a result. Definitely you will get more clients if you tell ki, oh, only just pay me like this much money and pay me after results. You'll get a lot of clients. But if you're not able to fulfill on those big guarantees, I don't feel like that is an ethical way of running a business. And even like you as a coach do not need to give a big guarantee. Why should you give the guarantee? You are a coach. If your prospect is putting in the work, following your process, asking you questions, they are bound to generate a result, right? If they are doing everything correct. So you do not need a guarantee for that, right? Basically that is taking ownership from them, and it is like they are throwing the ownership on you, whereas they should be taking responsibility for the challenges. So maybe you are somebody, a coach or a consultant who is facing these challenges. You may be thinking of these solutions. Thanks to me that I debunked all those solutions in front of you so that you don't waste your time and efforts. And now let me save you another 5 years of your life, so that you can scale your business within 1 month, 2 months maximum, right? So how will I do that? By presenting you the solution, which is the second thing, the TLS method. This is the main sauce of the video, correct? I am going to break it down exactly what we do in our clients' businesses with each and everything in very detail. So start taking some notes. Now this entire process is known as the 5-phase TLS method. Now, just if you're curious, what is TLS? TLS stands for top line selling, which is the name of my company, right? So it's a 5-phase method that we install in every client's business that we go into, correct? It starts with the phase number 1, which is the pre-sales optimization. What do I mean by pre-sales optimization? Now, sales is not about just going on the call and trying to sell using the scripts or the frameworks that you have, objection handling, all that jazz. It is way more than that. The closing actually starts even before the call actually starts. Even before the prospect comes on the call, the closing has already started. The sale has already started, the process. And that is what we fix in the phase number 1, the pre-sales optimization. In this, the very first thing that we set up is a show up magnet. Now, show up magnet is one of our systems that we have created at TLS, right? What is show up magnet? It's a system that allows us to boost the show up rates on the call. How do we do that? Just to give you a very small example, right, of the show up magnet, we have a proper person dedicated for increasing the show up rate. He or she is known as a sales coordinator. Their entire job is to do data management and improve the show up rates, and they are incentivized based on the show up rates, right? If they get 80%, 90% show up rate, they are given bonuses, incentives, etc., etc. But show up magnet, if I have to give you more idea, we have proper confirmation messages on WhatsApp that people after booking a call have to respond to, right? And these are not just plain messages. We have specifically tried out many variations of messages and nailed down the one that gets the most amount of responses and has improved the show up rates to even 92% for our clients, right? So that is what we do. We send messages on WhatsApp, we get manual confirmation from the prospects end, then we send them resources and make sure that they watch the resource, they get nurtured before coming on a sales call. That's the first thing that you need to install in your business, which is a show up magnet. Include some confirmation messages, start sending some messages after a person is booking a call with you. Get a manual confirmation. Next is filter to fortune. This is another system in TLS that we have. Filter to fortune is basically being ruthless with your applications. We are very ruthless with our applications, honestly. We get so many application bookings from ad and we cancel majority of them. We cancel good 70% of the apps gets cancelled. Why? Because filter to fortune. Now what does this mean is you need to have a deep qualification process. Ultimately, if you are going on a sales call, the prospect should be a quality person. You cannot go on a sales call with an unqualified individual and waste your time or your salesperson's time. And for that, you need to have an automated filtering mechanism. Just to give you an idea, I'll put it in context of India. In India, like, getting leads is not the challenge. You can get enormous amount of leads. We have 1.4 billion population, right? Too many people. But the problem over here in India is not the leads. The quality of leads is the problem. Now, overall, the work of a funnel, a marketing funnel, is to filter out the junk leads and give you in the end good leads, right? So it is more of like a filtration mechanism that your funnel is. Now, if you put the right filtration mechanisms like we have, then you would be able to extract the right kind of followers, right kind of quality of people in the end. That is what we do in the pillar number 2. The second thing, right? And just to give you an idea, how do we do that? One way of filtering people is the application form that we have. So you might have booked calls with other people as well. People book calls with you. So you have an application, right? So your application must be in depth. It should be absolutely in depth that only a serious person can come forward from the application. That is one of the biggest frictions that we basically add overall. Number 3 is pre-frame psychology. Now, what does pre-frame psychology means? This is like a big thing. One of the most people ignore this, but this is one of the most biggest needle mover in your business. After qualifying people are going to book calls with you, correct? They'll go to your thank you page. That is where you can start pre-framing their psychology. Now, just to give you an example, what do we do in pre-frame psychology is 2 things. On my thank you page, there are basically 3 steps. Step number 1, I'm like giving everything for free to you. Implement this. Step number 1 on my thank you page is a short video, a very short video, 70 second video, where the entire purpose of the video is to improve my show up rates. On that video, I am just sharing what are the guidelines, what they need to do and how they need to come on the call and everything. So improve the show up rate. That is the first step. That is the entire motive of that first video. Second step is basically I am telling them to reply to my WhatsApp message, which is my show up magnet message, right? I send them some confirmation message, reply to that. I tell them on the thank you page to do it immediately so that I can, lock in their slot. Their slot is not confirmed yet. They need to reply to me in order for me to confirm their slot. That is the second thing. And the third thing, step number 3 is another video, which is a long form video, right? For pre-framing the psychology. And in this particular video, this video's entire motive is to improve the closing rate. Now, the first video was there to improve the show up rate. Last video is there to improve the closing rate. And in this video, I explain everything, break down all the beliefs. This is like a long video, 40-minute, 1 or 2 hour long video that you can create. And it can be like a demo of what you do exactly. It explains everything in depth. It shows everything in depth. And if a person is like watching that video before coming on a call, they are pretty much now nurtured and they are pretty much in that frame, in that psychology of buying from you. They already trust you. That is what my third system is, the pillar 3, pre-frame psychology. This is what we do in phase number 1, pre-sales optimization. Of course, in each of these pillars, there are more nitty-gritty aspects that are there that we improvise and optimize, right? Next, we go on to the phase number 2. So after you have made all the pre-sales optimizations, now it's time to make some on-call mastery and on-call optimization. This is where most founders focus on because they only know this part of sales. We also focus on this in phase number 2. Now the phase Pillar number 1 in this is something known as predict selling method. This is our sales framework that we have created, me and my business partner Shaurya Mehta. We personally both combined have taken easily 8,000-9,000 calls, one-on-one calls globally, right? In India, out of India, we have closed high ticket deals, 2 lakh, 4 lakh, 10 lakhs, right? So we pretty much have a lot of data. We know how the call works and overall what happens on the call. So based on all that knowledge, we created our own selling method, which we call it the predict selling method. Why predict? Because this is a predictable way of selling. If you follow my process, you will generate the results and it is predictable. That's why the name, right? So what is it, and what comes under the predict selling method overall? Maybe you are a coach and you're like, Shashank, tell me about the selling method, right? What framework do I need to follow? So basically your entire call and even this predict selling method is divided into 3 parts. First part of the call is probing. Second part of the call is known as pitch. Third part of the call is the objection handling. All of your sales calls can be divided into these 3 parts only. There is no other part of the call. Coming to the first part, which is your probing part. I'm giving you the timestamp as well. Your probing should not take more than 20 to 25 minutes maximum. Why? And I know like you are not familiar with probing because nobody is in the market. When I say probing, in the probing part, you're just asking questions. And now I know what you're thinking. Shashank, why would somebody answer my questions for 20-25 minutes? Because I do not usually do that. I basically ask questions for 2, 3, 5 minutes maximum and then I pitch them. Then I go on a pitch for 40 minutes and then I expect them to buy. But they give me objections like send me a proposal, I'll think about it and I'll get back to you. Right? So that is what you're doing wrong. Your entire approach to sales is wrong. Let me be blatantly honest with you. First of all, initial 20-25 minutes of the call, you're just asking questions like an expert. In which, when I teach the predict selling method, we have 9 psychological triggers that we basically cover while doing the probing, right? We do not have any scripts. We just know that we need to cover these 9 psychological triggers while asking them the questions. So it is like a normal conversation. You are not sounding like a robot. You're having a conversation while covering these 9 psychological triggers. And if you cover these 9 psychological triggers properly, in the end, almost 80% of the objections can be prevented. And you can get a 1 call close on that call itself. And that is why this works so beautifully on sales call. I have been using this since very long time. My clients have been using this and they have seen, like you saw, right, the jump in the closing rate, right? So first of all, you need to cover these 9 psychological triggers. What are these 9 psychological triggers? Maybe I can create another video on that. But for now, let's move on to the next thing, right? But the next thing over here is a converting pitch. Once you have covered all the 9 psychological triggers on the sales call, second thing that you need to cover is a converting pitch. Now people think that you need to present a PPT, you need to send proposals, you need to have a proper presentation, etc, etc, etc. You need to pitch for 40 minutes. False. If your pitch is extending more than 15 minutes, you're doing something wrong. Yeah, you heard me right. I know people, when they go on a pitch, they are like pitching for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, even an hour directly. But that is the wrong way to sell. People are not there to hear your pitch. They want something that can provide them results. So our pitch, our converting pitch, is maximum of 10 to 15 minutes. It is broken down into couple of steps in a very organized manner. We do not use any PPTs to do this. It is verbally done, right? And the prospect is taking notes while we do the pitch. Why? Because that is how we pre-frame the call while starting the call. That do you have a notebook and pen to take some notes eventually? So prospect is taking notes and we break the entire pitch. We make it hyper customized and we make it hyper personalized for the prospect that we are speaking to. If you can make a prospect feel heard while making the pitch, let's say they gave you some challenges that they are facing while making the pitch, if you can customize the pitch on the go, right, and make it relatable for them, the prospect will basically fall in love with you and your process. They'll be like, oh, this is what I was looking for. So essentially you won't have to actually sell them. It would feel to them as if it was their own idea, and that is why they are buying. So you become an expert, not a salesperson, while using this. Last part of the call is objection handling frameworks. Now, of course, objections might come up even after covering the 9 psychological triggers, even after doing a converting pitch. Objections do come up. 20% objections come up in the end. Why do they come up? Because we are human beings. Everybody has concerns. Objections are nothing more than concerns. But you need to know how to address these concerns. Why? Because a person is looking up to you, and they are looking up to you for helping them to make a decision. If you do not know how to help them to make a decision, you would basically lose out a lot of money on the table. And for that, we have proper objection handling frameworks. Just to give you an idea, majorly there are 3 types of objections: uncertainty, partner, and finances, right? Uncertainty is the biggest one, then comes the partner, then is the finances. If somebody is saying they cannot afford it, it's too expensive, discounts, blah blah blah, that's the last concern that I handle. I look for uncertainty firstly. Oh, are they actually bought in the process? Do they trust me? Do they trust that they will generate a result? If that is tick mark, then I go to partner. Oh, do they have a partner, or they are the decision maker? Okay, they are. Okay, now let's handle finances. What's the challenge? So that is something that you need to have. Of course, we teach that in properly. I can make another video around this. You can drop your comment or something and I'll do that. Let's move on to the next phase for now. So far we have done phase 1, which is pre-sales optimization. People are already in that frame of mind. They trust you, they are nurtured, they show up on the call. Next, we did a proper good sales call where we covered, use the predict selling method. Next is the post sales call process. What is the post sales call process? Number one thing that we have over here, the most biggest and best thing that we have is the follow-up matrix. This is my style and my partner's style of doing follow-ups. So we have a proper follow-up system that we have created, which we just go and install in people's businesses, customize it for their business, and their follow-up basically goes through the roof. They are able to get a lot of deals from their follow-ups, additional 3-4 deals at a high ticket price from follow-ups every single month, just by using the follow-up matrix, right? So that is basically what we teach overall over here. If you do not have any follow-up scripts, any follow-up sequences, and you are just letting you speak to a call, they prospect, they do not get converted, then you are like, go, I don't care. That's the wrong way of doing sales. Money is in the follow-ups. You'll get a lot of sales from the follow-ups, right? Even if you have to follow up for 1 year, I've gotten sales where I've followed up with the person for 3 years, not 3 years, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months as well. And I've gotten sales after 6 months. So follow up is something where the money is. You need to have proper SOPs and processes for that dialed in, right? And just one big thing that I can give you over here is, if you're a coach listening to this, try to use humor in your follow-ups. Don't try to sound salesy or too professional. Sound a bit casual. Use humor, because if you are following up in a very professional manner, then the sales resistance increases. People are like, oh, he's back again, he wants to sell to me, right? But if you're using humor, you're sending them gifs maybe, right? Then they will respond back to you more easily. I send a lot of jokes to my clients, right? Second pillar in the phase number 3 is quality check analysis. What do I mean by this? After the call is done, we review each and every call. That is what quality check analysis exactly means, which is proper sales QC, right? All the teams that I train, I receive their recordings. We have a system for that. They record their calls on Fathom, right? And I have their Fathom access, from where I review the entire call. I see the missing spots, and then I give them review on what was wrong, so that they can implement it, practice it, improve their closing rate on the next call. Now, this is like a constant feedback loop that needs to go on if you have a sales team or you are in sales. You cannot imagine, when I go on sales call, this is one of my favorite questions that I ask my clients, right? My prospects. When is the last time that you audited your own sales call for finding the missing gaps? And they are like, never. I don't remember when I did that. So if you're not auditing your own sales calls, then you're not improving and you cannot scale a business, because this is one of the most crucial things. So this is something that you can instantly start doing. Just go to your call recordings or your team call recordings, have a team meeting of 1 hour every single day, review one of the teammates' call, right? And see what are the areas of improvement. Give them some feedback. That is how people improve. Sales is just like cricket or any other sport, right? You improve by practicing regularly. So that is what quality check analysis is. And pillar number 3 is sales dojo. This is the most favorite part of any salesperson. If you have a proper sales environment, then people would basically love coming on the sales training sessions. When I was doing proper sales, high ticket closing, I was a closer when back then. I used to love the sales training process. We used to train 2 hours every single day without fail, right? So sales dojo is basically conducting regular meetings, which I have already told you. It's a sales team meeting only sales team is there. You pick one call, you review that call, you practice. Maybe either you are reviewing calls, number 1, or either you are giving them agenda based feedback. Maybe you are just giving them feedback on their probing part, how to improve that. Or maybe you are giving them feedback on their pitching part, because they are pitching for 45 minutes on the call. You're helping them to reduce it to 15 minutes. Or maybe you are giving them feedback on objection handling, how to be more better on the objection handling part. So you need to have agenda based sales dojo trainings every single day, and every one of your closers must get their call reviewed. Of course, there are a lot of other things that goes into this, but that's the overview. Start implementing this ASAP. Now moving on to the phase number 4, the performance management. Now comes the major good stuff, the management side of things, and this is what actually helps us to scale the business, right? This is the boring part of sales, the boring stuff. Performance management is basically managing the performance, simply said. In that, pillar number 1 is something known as the revenue command center. Revenue command center is our, you can say, in simpler words, it is our tracking sheets, our data sheets that we have created for top line selling, and that is what we install in our clients' businesses as well. We call these sheets as revenue command center. That's a pretty name, right? A pretty cool name. Why have we named it as a revenue command center? Because by looking at those sheets, we are tracking more than 20 plus metrics in these sheets. Some metrics that you might have not even heard about, but they are very essential to grow your business, right? On a regular basis, my sales team, my closers, setters, coordinators are filling these sheets regularly. So I am up to date, and I know exactly what is going on in the business each and every time. What is the closing rate of this closer? What's the closing rate of that closer? What's the show up rate for that closer? What is the offer to close percentage for that closer? How much cash collection this closer did? How many calls this setter booked? Overall, how many dials did this setter make? I know everything, right? Why? Because I have the revenue command center. This is like a superpower. You can keep everybody accountable. You have numbers in place. You know exactly how to backtrack your goals, and you can then scale the business, right? So we install this, superbly important. Why? Because I will give you one more example. India's biggest dating coach, as I mentioned, was getting 1500 leads a month, doing 14 lakhs before we joined him. The biggest problem was he did not have any proper revenue command centers, no proper systems, data tracking systems. So what was happening with what lead is like nobody knew, right? Everyone was confused. So we were at the pillar number 2, which is the weekly progress checks in phase number 4. What do I mean by weekly progress checks? Because we are tracking so many numbers, which is 20 plus metrics every single month. Now we can divide it, we can have weekly projections and goals. Let's say, for an example, you have a 40 lakh goal for the month. So if we break it down, every week you need to do 10 lakh rupees in revenue, correct? Now let's say for some reason you are at 8 lakhs in week number 1. So because we have so much of number, we can diagnose exact reason because of which we did not hit the 10 lakh rupee per month mark. And that is what numbers allow you to do. And that is why tracking is so much important. That's why phase 4 is one of the most important things that 99% coaches do not do at this level, right? Because it's complicated, it is boring. And that's why we have proper systems already set that we install in your business, so it becomes easier. Number 3 is team alignment meetings. Now if you have any sales team, for example, this guy that I had, let me give you another example, Hardik Bhatia. He had 1, 2, 3 teammates, right? And I used to have one-on-one meetings with them. When I say one-on-one, I do not mean the daily sales dojo, not that, right? As a founder, you need to have sales team meetings, one-on-one meetings with your team members. Why? Because they are human beings. They have their own goals, they have their own vision, they have their own personal life going on, right? Which will always affect their professional life. So you need to know exactly as the founder what is your teammates goal, how can you tie their goal to the business goal so that they're always motivated, how you can help them on a more one-on-one level to improve their performance for themselves and for the company. And number 4, if they are facing any issues in their personal life or mindset or biology, you should be aware about that, because that will reflect in their performance and you should be able to help them out with that. So as a founder, it's not that you are hiring some employees, it is basically they are your teammates. So you need to actually help them to develop in their own life as well, and that is what we do by having team alignment meetings. Either you can have a one-on-one meeting once every week, or you can have, like as a founder, twice a month, right? Depends on you how much, like the frequency depends on you completely, but it's very important to maintain that level of culture. And last thing that we do in phase number 4, performance management, is installing EOD structures. Full form of EOD is end of the day reports, right? We install it for every person on the sales team, whether it's a setter, coordinator, a closer, a manager. Everybody has to send end of the day reports, which allows us to do 2 things. End of the day, they are basically giving us the EOD report, where they will give us the qualitative data and the quantitative data. So I'm able to track the qualitative and quantitative data regularly. What is quantitative data? Quantitative data is, 5 calls were scheduled on my calendar, out of which 3 calls happened because 2 people no showed. I made 3 offers and I sold to 1 person and the revenue generated was 1 lakh. That is quantitative data on the EOD. And then there is qualitative data. Okay, out of the 3 people that I spoke to, first person was, let's say, Amit Roy. On Amit Roy's call, this is what happened, this was his objection, this is his follow-up date, and this is the conclusion of the call. Next call was with, let's say, Rahul. So on Rahul's call, this was the conclusion, he paid on call. Next call was this with this person. This person gave me this objection and did not buy. Now as a manager, I know the third person did not buy, he gave him an objection, so let me review that call on tomorrow's sales dojo so that I can find the missing gap and give him feedback so he can improve. So that is what EOD structures allow you to do. Have a daily, you have a the pulse of your business. It's like the pulse of your business. What's happening in the business, you know it daily. That is phase number 4. And moving on, lastly, phase number 5, which is your scaling infrastructure. Very important. This is the biggest part that I'm pretty sure nobody does, right? Because this is the most difficult part to execute on your own. So scaling infrastructure is something that you require in order to scale the business, as the name suggests, right? What does this include? Pillar 1 is a hiring funnel. Now let's say if you are running any coaching or agency, any high ticket business, you are basically dependent on a sales team. And sales team is basically hiring, firing, keeps on going on sales teams. It is not that you will find one good closer, he'll stay with you for the next 5 years. No, that rarely happens. Hiring and firing is like a constant thing in the sales environment. Exactly for that reason, you need to have a hiring funnel, so that you do not have to, whenever a person is going out, you don't have to panic. Your sales does not take a revenue, does not take a hit. You already have your hiring funnel, you have your hiring pool, you can just hire one person, replace, quickly ramp him up, and you can be at that consistent revenue. Why? Because if tomorrow your top closer quits, what happens to the business? It dies, right? For the entire month. So you need to have that hiring funnel already ready. Number 2, you need to have a hiring SOP. Basically, what's the entire process of hiring somebody? There is one thing, I think Alex Hormozy said it. You should hire slow, fire fast. And that is the rule that we follow. So for the hiring SOP, we have different stages. It is almost as if people are basically being hired at Google. So we intentionally add so many levels of frictions while hiring somebody, so many interview rounds, so that they get that experience that they are being hired in a proper company, a company like Google, and we can make sure that the hire that we made is absolutely top notch, not a time pass person, not a bad hire. Next thing that you need is compensation blueprints. Very important. If you need to drive output from your sales team, you need to have proper compensation plans. Compensation plans can be of different kinds, right? There are different things that we help people with while making the compensation plan. Some people might want their entire sales team expenses to stay under 10%. Some people might be more open to giving out almost 20% of their entire business margins to the sales team. Some people might want to give some salaries, high salaries, lesser incentives. Some might want to get commission only roles, salespeople. So different things that you can do in the compensation plan, adding bonuses and gifts and all. But the entire goal is, if you do not have a good compensation plan, forget about scaling. All salespeople are motivated by money. Simple. If you can show them the money, they will work very, very hard to make that money, and you will eventually make money. So this can break or make your business, and I've seen it break a lot of businesses for sure. People cannot, retain talent because of bad compensation plans. Next is your pillar 4 scale blueprint sheet. Now what this allows us to do is, this is one of our sheets at TLS which we have created, which allows us to backtrace everything. You have a 40 lakh goal, we will put in your numbers and we will know exactly what we need to do in order to hit that goal, right? So it's like an automated sheet we have created. Next is sales culture SOP. If you do not have a proper sales culture, you cannot retain talent. Salespeople get bored, right? If they are not seeing the vision constantly, their vision, how their goals are being met by, how their goals are intertwined with company's goal, they are going to lose out the entire, they will basically hop from your company to some next company, right? Next thing about sales culture is, if there is lesser responsiveness, people are boring, so you wouldn't be able to retain A+ talent in your business, which is very important for scaling. Pillar 6, onboarding and ramp up SOP, which we have touched is earlier as well. You need to have a proper ramp up SOP and basically an onboarding SOP. Let's say from the hiring funnel you hired somebody, right? What things are you going to give them to onboard them as quick as possible within a day, right? You need to have documented product training videos. You need to have proper, systems breakdown video where each and every step, communications, how is communication happening within the internal team, what salesperson has to do, the payment links, everything that the person needs to know should be documented in the onboarding process. And similarly in the ramp up SOP, right? What things they need to do, what are their IDs, creation of adding them to CRM, blah blah blah, all that jazz, the boring stuff. But once this is documented, ramping up becomes faster. Within 14 days you can ramp up a person and they can start performing, which is like a very good time in my opinion, right? 7th pillar is leadership SOP. You need to have proper leadership ascension SOPs there in your business. Let's say, what is the KPI for a booker in your company? Let's say if they hit this amount of KPIs, right? What KPIs do they need to hit? Basically targets they need to hit for the next level promotion from a booker to setter. What amount of cash collection does a setter need to do in order to get a promotion to a junior closer? Then what does a junior closer need to do to become a senior closer? You need to do all of these things. That is called the leadership SOP. What is the role of basically the manager and all that jazz? It should be well documented. 8th, roles and responsibilities. Each and every role in your company with the responsibilities, their timetables, all the documents they would be requiring, every information on earth that they require should be documented in one proper SOP. So the person literally after getting hires, go to that document, goes to his specific role, learns everything in one go, it's sorted in one place. So you need that. Lastly, you need 9th pillar, a management SOP. Why? Because management is the major thing to drive output from a sales team. If your management is poor, you cannot scale the business. Sales team would not perform, right? So you need proper management SOP. What is the style of management? Do the teammates know who is the manager? Do they respect the manager? Is the manager aligning, having that personal connect with the teammates? Or I hope he's not making like a toxic culture overall. How is he assigning the leads? All that jazz comes under the management SOP, correct? So that is basically the 5 phases overall, which I have broken down for you in simple steps. Now the next thing that I will share overall here is the results. Why? Because you have been listening to me for the last 40 minutes and now what can actually happen is this kind of results if you follow these 5 phases. Number 1 is Hardik Bhatia. This is one of my clients, has 236k followers on Instagram. He's a stock market coach. So he basically is teaching trading to working professional. and business owners. So when I started working with him, we worked with him for almost 8-9 months, right? I personally worked with him, increased his ticket size from 70,000 to 1.5 lakh, right? I helped him. I personally closed 30 lakhs of revenue for him personally while doing part-time closing for him, because I was working, like, we were more of a partner sort of thing with him, correct? And currently his business is doing 25 lakhs per month with this, from cold audience, not from his organic following, from cold audience, with these systems that we installed, correct? So this is what it can do for you as well. Next, Utsav Ghosh, 180k followers. He's a fitness coach. You can find him on Instagram. Basically within 30 days his closing rate from cold audience went to 67% close rate. And this is call to close rate, not offer to close rate, right? 67%. That means out of 10, he was converting almost 6 to 7 people at a high ticket price. He charged 1 lakh rupees for a fitness coaching program in India using the same on-call process that we have, right? And he was able to produce 4.5 lakhs in 30 days of working with us, launching a complete new funnel to a new audience, right? Not from organic. So that is the kind of results you can get. Thirdly, India's biggest dating coach, which I have been referring to for a while now. Why I say biggest? Because he is the biggest. 550k followers on IG, 700k on YouTube. Can't name him because of NDA, but basically this founder has exited sales operations. We have been working with him for now 4 months. This is the 4th month going on. He has completely exited the sales operation. He is currently at Bali for 14 days. We are scaling his business. He's regularly getting 1 lakh deals closed, right? So that is what founder free sales teams look like. He has a team of 8 members that we helped him to hire overall, right? And 8 team members, and from 14 lakh average we were able to scale it to 25 lakh per month in cash collection. 14 lakhs is not revenue, it's cash collection. 25 lakh is not revenue, it's cash collection, right? So that is money in the bank, correct? So this is the kind of result that you can basically produce by following the 5-phase systems. Now, if you are a coach or a consultant who has been watching this video till here, first of all, good job. I can see you are serious. Number 2, now if you are stuck at a 5 lakh, or maybe you are starting, or you are at 10 lakh, 15 lakh, want to scale your business to multiple lakhs, up to 40, 50, 60 lakhs a month, right? And you want us to implement all these things for you, what I want you to do right now is, below this video you will find a link to book a call with me and my team Shaurya, right? Either I would be on the call, or Shaurya Mehta, who is my co-founder, would be on the call, and we will diagnose your entire business on that call itself, correct? And if we are able to help, we'll create a custom game plan for you and then help you to implement that for your business. Now, only book a call with us if you are already doing like more than at least 2 to 3 lakhs a month and you have some money to invest, right? Because we charge high ticket, we charge multiple lakhs. We do not do it for 1 lakh or 1.5 or 2 lakhs. We charge multiple lakhs for this for a couple of months of duration. Why? Because I cannot give you results in 30 days, right? I can, but not good lasting results. So we would want to work with you, depending, it would be custom for 1 month or 3 months or whatever, and it would be expensive. So only book a call with me if you are serious, you want to scale your business, you are tired of doing it on your own, you want me to come in, implement this, book a call, and subscribe the channel if you got value, like the video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.